Dentistry is very, very hard on us. Okay, it's hard physically, it's hard mentally, it's hard spiritually. No one loves going to the dentist, and so we take a lot of inner dialogue, and it creates a lot of problems. And so, I want to make sure that there are resources for my colleagues so they can practice at their highest level. I speak around the country to young dentists, and I give them the charge that you, as a dentist, you are your most valuable asset.
Today, I have the honor of sitting down with Dr. Brett Kessler, a renowned figure in dentistry and the incoming president of the American Dental Association. In our conversation, Brett and I delve into the multifaceted challenges and opportunities that shape the landscape of modern dentistry, with a focus on supporting healthcare providers, particularly amidst prevalent burnout and workforce shortages. Brett sheds light on the concerted efforts underway within the ADA and the broader healthcare community to confront these pressing issues head-on. We explore the imperative for enhanced access to dental care, critiquing the limitations of the current insurance paradigm, and advocating for a more inclusive approach to oral health. Drawing from his journey as both a dentist and a leader, Brett reflects on his experiences as a CEO of his dental practice and his aspirations for advancing the ADA's mission. He articulates a vision for a more engaging and beneficial ADA, tailoring the evolving values and expectations of younger dentists. Throughout our dialogue, Brett underscores the indispensable role of the private practitioner, fostering intimate doctor-patient relationships and delivering personalized care. As our conversation draws to a close, we pivot towards actionable steps for bolstering the dental profession. Brett extends his gratitude to industry contributors like Fortune Management, while stressing the importance of a unified stance in addressing challenges such as mail-order orthodontics. He highlights the potential for collaborative ventures between the ADA and Fortune to enhance practice fulfillment and wellness among dentists, reaffirming his unwavering commitment to catalyzing positive changes within the dental field. Enjoy this wonderful discussion. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Hero of the Hour podcast. I'm here with a very special guest today, the president of the American Dental Association, the ADA, Brett Kessler. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Mark. Actually, I want to say I am the president-elect of the American Dental Association. So my president wants to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not quite president yet.
Maybe this goes down a little bit of a rabbit hole to start this. But the way you and I got introduced, and we'll talk about some of the things we have in common. But the way we got introduced is I met your dad, who was a member of Tiger 21 in Chicago, the investment group for extraordinary returns in Chicago. And I was so impressed with your dad. Tell me a little about your family. Tell me about, the man obviously loves his son, is proud of his son, and I couldn't think of a sweeter guy than your dad. So tell me a little bit about kind of how you got started and how how your family played a role in all the success you've had.
Well, I wasn't there when my dad and my mom conceived me, but I was there in theory, I guess. But I can't tell you the exact origin, but I have an idea because I have 4 kids of my own. I've got a really strong bond with my dad. My dad was married to my mom, and I have 4. There's 4 of us in what I call litter 1, and my dad remarried, and there's 3 more kids in litter 2. And we are really tight. And my dad has been a huge guiding force to me and mentor to me. And I'm very blessed to have him in my life. And my mom passed away in 2017. And
I'm sorry.
So my dad has been, he's always been there for me, a big supporter. He's an engineer, and he started his own company in the early 70s. And he worked an awful lot as I was growing up. But he'd bring us to the office and he taught us about work ethics and what it takes to really make something of yourself. And that never left me. And then when I was applying for colleges, he really encouraged me to go through the engineering route as well. He knew my brain and how it worked, and the logic really, how I can take logic and put it into action, is what he said was the basis of what engineering is. And my goal was to go into medical school. And I remember one summer studying for the medical admissions test, and I stood there at the mailbox with my MCAT application, and I'm like, I don't think I want to do this, and I tore it up, and I kind of floundered around for a little while. And a friend of mine who was in dental school already said, Brett, you might want to consider dentistry. With your engineering background, you'd probably do really well. And that the girls were cute. That's all I knew about dentistry at the time.
That's good. That's good enough for me.
And I did well, and the girls were cute. That's where I met my wife. We started dating our first year, and she was a classmate of mine, and we got married our fourth. And she's an orthodontist. I'm a general dentist, and yeah, and so family's been a big part of my journey, and I'm really grateful for that. And it's just amazing how you and he met, because he called me after you did have the conversation with him, and he's like, this Mark Murphy guy? I'm like, no, I don't. And I was running for the president-elect of the American Dental Association at the time, and he said he really wants to talk to you. He thinks he can help. And so we finally connected. It was after the election, though, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And we found out. Yeah, we found out we had all sorts of connections that we just hadn't, intersected our circles yet. So I'm really grateful that we did.
Which brings me to the next thing. The next connection point we have is, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a board member and a shareholder at Fortune Management, and I guess that was co-founded by I get Bernie Stoltz and Tony Robbins and Paul Bass, and there were some good folks who did that about 35 years ago. And I understand that's been such an important and meaningful part of my career and my life, of being able to give back and serve that group. It sounds like you've had a pretty good experience with them and with your coach Kim McGuire, who I knew when she was a kid. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your experience with Fortune.
So I met Kim probably 20 years ago when she first opened up the Fortune market in Denver. She and Renee Schubert brought it here, and instantly attracted to her energy and what she brings, wherever she goes. And a few years later, I had a dental practice. It was a private dental practice, and we were struggling and weren't really sure if we wanted to continue. My wife and I practiced together. And I called Kim out of the blue. We've had great conversations over the years through my leadership journey, but never worked with her formally. And when we were struggling, my wife and I, we called Kim and brought her in, and Kim really guided us out of a hole that we were digging, and back into righting the ship and progressing and growing in ways that we couldn't figure out how to do on our own. And so Kim is a treasured friend. And another, I have this saying that I've experienced throughout my life, is that when you're on the right path, angels will appear on that path, and with a message, and she was the perfect person to guide us back on the path. And she's been a huge resource to me, and a great friend. And so, and when you and I first connected and you started talking about Fortune Management, I couldn't wait to talk about how great Kim is. And so it's just a small world, and synchronicities in play for sure.
I have seen her career. First of all, Renee I've known as the Queen of B, and I remember Kim at the very beginning of her career. And I've seen the world-class coach and inspirational person she's become, and it's just great to see. I love to see the trajectory of great people, grow. The other thing I thought was interesting, Brett, is in my industry, I've always thought you never want to solve one problem when you can solve three or four, and an awful lot of people have no interest in serving their industry or their community back. So you're the president of the ADA. In my industry, I was the president of AALU, or which is now FinSecca, the Financial Security Professionals. And I spent a lot of time and a lot of hours fighting for our industry and trying to make it a better industry. What inspires a guy like you, who's obviously a very successful guy, very successful dentist, and go? Why does the ADA? Why is it important? Why did you give all this time up from your practice, from your family, from your life to serve?
Well, I'm going to take it a couple steps back. And back in the late 90s, I uh, entered dental school with a substance abuse problem, and I graduated dental school with a worse substance abuse problem.
Ooh.
And I was not on a good track at all. And I finally hit a bottom in 1998. And when I was at that bottom, I called the American Dental Association for help. They had well-being programs that were in place to help people like me who, were struggling with substance abuse, and we were able to, get help with dignity. And so I'm that's what happened. They guided me towards help, and I'm forever indebted to them for that. When I got sober, I got inspired to live my best life, and I wanted to pay it forward. And I didn't know I wanted to pay it forward within the organization of the American Dental Association. But as I was negotiating through, maintaining my license and all these regulations that we have, I was stigmatized because I sought help. I literally, I never did anything wrong with my practice. I never treated anybody while I was under the influence. I was just on a bad path. But I was my license was put on probation in like a public shaming type of way. And I felt that was unfair. And the organized dentistry at the local level, Colorado Dental Association, was where I started. That and every state has a dental practice act that governs the profession of dentistry in that locale. And the best way to change the practice act, to make it for best practices, is to go through the dental association. And that's what I did. And and they found and I found that I was had a lot of passion for making sure dentistry is practiced at the highest level. So it's a successful profession for those that are in it, and that the communities that we're serving are best served. And so organized dentistry became this lever to ensure the integrity of our profession. And the more I got involved with it, the more I wanted to lead the charge.
By any person's definition, you're a leader. Were you always a leader? Did you learn to become a leader? Somebody who's watching that, I find myself as we always say, good leaders create followers, great leaders create other great leaders. And I aspire to be a great leader in our organization, the organizations I serve. How did you become such a great leader?
So was I always a leader? You have to ask my dad that, I guess. But he's told me stories about when I was a kid and I was directing the whole neighborhood on certain things. And so I guess I had a natural propensity to make things happen. But when I joined the leadership at the local level at the Colorado Dental Association, I took it really serious. And I never had formal leadership training at the time, but knowing that at some point I'm going to be the president of the Colorado Dental Association, I dove into a self-directed leadership continuum where I hired leadership coaches such as Kim McGuire. I had a couple other ones. I started reading leadership books. I just became a student of growing my leadership skills, and it really did help me learn about who I am, learn my core values, who I am, what I stand for, what my purpose is, what my why is in the world. And I found that my why is that I am a catalyst I am a catalyst for positive change in the world, and everything I do seems to gravitate towards that. And when I recognize that, I'm able to put my foot on the gas and accelerate. So I have people. I don't consider myself as this great leader, but and now that I'm in my role and I hear stories of from my colleagues, and they tell me how our interactions affected them and grew them, it makes me, it humbles me. It makes me very, very proud to be on the path that I'm on and with the clarity that I have. So leadership, there are natural leadership abilities that I guess I have, but without growing them, they wouldn't have never, I would have never become the person that I am now.
What do you think, as president-elect? I'm sure you've given a lot of thought about this and are in the middle of all the issues. What do you think the greatest challenges the industry faces, and what do you think the greatest opportunities that they have as you get to reinvent an industry as every industry gets reinvented? It seems like with technology about every 2 or 3 years. Mm.
We're a little slower than that, but yeah, we need to be reinventing ourselves every few years. So I have two, uh, two initiatives. One is internal, as far as helping the dentists, and one is external, is helping the communities. And as far as helping dentists and people in the dental field, dentistry is very, very hard on us. Okay, it's hard physically, it's hard mentally, it's hard spiritually. No one loves going to the dentist. And so we take a lot of inner dialogue, and it creates a lot of problems. And so, I want to make sure that there are resources for my colleagues so they can practice at their highest level. I speak around the country to young dentists, and I give them the charge that you, as a dentist, you are your most valuable asset. Take care of yourself as such. We may have a pile of money in an asset fund over here, and we're playing with that and trying to grow that asset. But if we don't have this asset fully taken care of, and our production capacity becomes limited. And if we go down, because it's so hard on us physically, dentists have neck problems, back problems, shoulder problems, sciatica, high blood pressure, anxiety, substance abuse, mental illness. If we can't take care of ourselves, we can't produce, and our student loans are going to come due whether we're practicing or not. And so our production capacity is most important. So I want to make sure that there's resources available for the clinicians in the field. And this is something that goes across all of healthcare. I'm on a work group with the National Academy of Medicine that is chaired by Victor Zhao, who's the president of NAM, and co-chaired by Dr. Vivek Murthy, who's the U.S. Surgeon General. And we have a healthcare crisis because no one is healing the healers. And we have a huge shortage in the healthcare provider world. We're 1 million nurses short in the system right now because of burnout. I see it in my own profession of dentistry, and so we need to make sure that the best people are going into healthcare provider in healthcare for the right reasons and with the right expectations. But systemically, the environment to provide healthcare is really not conducive to wellness. So we're doing some major changes, not only across dentistry, but across all of healthcare. So that's first and foremost internally. Externally, how can we best serve the communities? If we are to remain a profession, we need to make sure that there's access to dentistry for all demographics. And the current private insurance model, or benefit model is a better term for it, isn't really working. It used to work very well in dentistry. Where in the dental benefits, they would have a $1,000 maximum with a certain percentage that they would pay for, different procedures and things like that. But it was very segmented, and and you could do maybe 1 or 2 teeth a year based on those benefit models. If that were translated into the health insurance model, it would be this a similar metaphor would be if I had 2 heart valves that needed to be replaced. My doctor would say, well, you need 2 heart valves replaced. The good news is you have insurance, and and we're going to take care of one of those heart valves this year, and
Right,
and they pay
wow.
$1,000, and and you'll be expected to pay the other $49,000, and then we're getting close to the end of the year, so in January we'll go up and open you up again and do the second heart valve. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, and when I was in dental school, I learned that the mouth is attached to the rest of the body, but I got out of dental school and the benefit plans says otherwise. And
Yeah.
so that needs to be overhauled. And then there's a big problem with access, where tens of millions of Americans just don't have access to dental care, and it's like an afterthought. And I jokingly but seriously say that teeth are luxury bones, and if you have money, you can afford to get the best possible dentistry. But if you don't, you're not eligible for that. And why is that? We have studies after studies after studies that show improved oral health will improve your overall health. And so we need to reconnect that. And so we're
Well,
looking for ways to do that in a big
clearly
way.
you're a physician of the masculatory system.
Exactly.
Going forward, interesting. I saw another contact point we have is, my dear friend, the founder of OraCare, Rick Downs.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
how do you know Rick?
Practicing dentist.
Just
That's how
just
we know.
just another context. So, and
Right.
move on from that. The other is in organization. I want to get to you in a minute, but last thing on the group is, I find in some of the organizations I'm involved in that the younger folks don't see the value as much as our generation did in terms of organizations that I'm part of. Is the ADA having the same challenge? And how do we
Absolutely.
fix that?
It's a generational value system, where our generation, we like to stay in one place, and we like to connect. It was expected of us to join as a professional obligation, and the newer generation is much different in what they value. And they don't want to work. I shouldn't generalize that, but they want to work differently. They don't want to work 7 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, 5 days a week, like I did. And they're more about that dentistry will serve me to have a good life. It is not my life. And I really admire that in them. And so part of that is, what's the value of organized dentistry? What's the value of being part of an association? And the connection is different now. So we have so much that so many ways to connect digitally, that we're forgetting that we need to connect face to face too. And we're trying to find ways to connect everybody in person. And so one of the things that I thought was really interesting, because I'm an athlete as well as in leadership and a dentist. And so I really do a lot of like biking and running
A
and
lot
stuff
of
like that. So we
endurance.
had
So
a
you're an endurance athlete, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tell people what you do, and I'd love to. You look like an
So
athlete, so tell me what you do.
So I'm a little crazy. I'm a marathon runner. I'm a long distance cyclist, mountain biking, skiing. My most proud accomplishments are as an Ironman triathlon. I've done the Ironman World Championships in Hawaii. I've completed it twice, and I've done 5 Ironman races in the last 5 years or so. But I'm taking a little break from that. I'm just trying to maintain some level of fitness. But anyway, but back to the new dentist, we had a class. So we did it. We rented out Soul Cycle, which is one of those 1 hour workout classes. And,
Mm-hmm.
then 60 young dentists came and got to ride with the president-elect of the ADA is what it was. They love doing things like that, as opposed to, sitting in boardrooms for hours and hours on end. And so, but I got a chance to talk with them and interact with them and hear different things that are going on in their lives, and then talk about the value of organized dentistry. And things like this, like I talk about with the wellness. It's just an example of that. So we need to find ways to connect with them that they want to connect back. And so most associations are slow to figure that out, and we're in a inflection point right now within our organization to really turn things around, to make it more beneficial, and more attractive, that they'll see it as beneficial in their professional advancements.
Any of the 4 kids you think will be dentists?
Not no, I didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do until my 5th year of college.
Okay.
And so my oldest is in her 5th year of college right now. And so but they all love the lifestyle that we've provided for them, but I don't see
Right.
anyone moving into the space quite yet. But who knows? who knows? I still think dentistry is, from a healthcare delivery standpoint, as a practitioner of any of the different options you have in healthcare, dentistry is by far the best. The impact that I get to make on my patients, the lifestyle that I've been afforded to have as a result of being a dentist, and it's really a special career. So I'm grateful for that.
You have a reputation, by reputation, as a great artist. Great doctor. How do you rate yourself as a business person or a CEO of the practice? Are you the great artist? Are you also the great CEO, or did you become the great CEO?
So, great CEO of my dental practice. I say I was average, but I really tried, but it gave us a good living, and like I said, we got to impact tens of thousands of patients over the years. We were a dentistry type practice where, I did a lot of high-end aesthetic work and reconstructive work, and patients sought me out and were willing to pay for it. I was able to support dozens of employees and their families through the work that we provided, and so I was very happy with that. As far as a leader going in the American Dental Association, I always feel a level of inadequacy, but I also have the level of confidence that people see in me what I sometimes don't see in myself, and they voted me in to lead this organization. They believed in what I had, in my vision and what I expressed to them during, my time trying to get to this position. So I feel I'm poised to be the right person here at the right time to take us to the next level. And I'm really excited for that opportunity.
What brings me to my last question, Brett, is people are going to be watching this podcast or listening to it. What can people do to help? Why is this? If you're part of the organization, what can they do to help? What can I do to help as a non-dentist? Because I am somebody what's somebody who's not part of the organization? What should they do? And all I can say is that I am very passionate about having a healthy dental industry. We represent a lot of DSOs, but I'm very passionate about maintaining private practitioners and having doctors make decisions in healthcare rather than MBAs. And I think you need a healthy mix of both. And I want to make sure that those private practitioners exist going forward, and those entrepreneurs. So what can I do? What can people who are members do? What can people that are not members do to make a difference?
Yeah. So first of all, what you're doing is a huge help to the profession. You understand the value of what good dentistry does for not only the patient, but in the industry. You're involved in the industry, and you're supporting dentists so they can be at their best. And so that's a huge asset to our profession. So thank you for everything you do. When I was a young dentist, my first boss, I had no interest in being in organized dentistry. And it was not important to me. I didn't value it. But my boss told me, if we are to remain a profession, everybody has to do something to participate in keeping it a profession. At very least, you need to be a member of the American Dental Association. And I feel so strongly about that. I'm going to pay for your dues as a benefit of being an employee with me. And so at very least, we have to have a strong membership. And we still represent well over 50% of the practicing dentists in this country. Every state, like I said, has a Dental Practice Act that governs us as far as best practices. And outside entities that may be more selfishly poised to gain an advantage in the market or take advantage of a market can lobby things that may not be in the best interest of the delivery of care. And so the practice of dentistry can change with one swipe of the pen, one signature of a governor. Okay, so for instance, there is a company that just went bankrupt called Smile Direct Club, and it was a mail order orthodontic company where patients, they left tens of thousands of customers hanging, okay, with no care. and there was no dentist overseeing their treatment of irreversible dental procedures, and tens of thousands of people were hurt by that. And notice I said tens of thousands of customers. I didn't say tens of thousands of patients, because that's what they were. And
Right.
so this DIY dental market is dangerous. That's the kind of thing that, if we don't have a unified, strong voice to fight off those kind of threats to the market, that's the kind of thing that will ruin healthcare. That's the kind of thing that will ruin dentistry. The private practitioner, I know you mentioned it's something very passionate about. I've been a private practitioner most of my career. I've also been part of large groups. I've been part of DSOs. I've been in academia and research. I've been all over it. But the private practitioner model has always been my favorite, because I have the relationships with my patients that are so special, who, they appreciate the work that I do, and they're willing to come seek me out for that. And I appreciate the fact that they appreciate what I can offer them as a unique, service to them. And it's the most fulfilling, type of model of practice that I've been involved in, because of the relationships that I had with my patients. And so I had a very low volume practice where I spent a lot of time with my patients and getting to know them. I've been in some of the larger volume practices where, you're just going from room to room to room, and you're treating teeth. You're not treating people.
Right.
And so I'm really into that we can keep that doctor-patient relationship as a sacred cow, no matter what demographic you're in. There are some DSOs that are amazing about that, and some that are not so good. But it comes down to the private practitioner and how that person interacts with their patients is where the magic happens. So,
Well, Brett, I thank you. I know for anyone watching this, I think you're so darn busy. You're not home. You're at a hotel conference room in Hartford, undoubtedly spreading the word and helping a lot of people around the country. And I just thank you for your service, not only to your industry but to American business. And
thank you, Mark.
appreciate you, and happy to know you. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you so much. And if please put my contact information in the description. I'd love to hear from people if they have any questions.
Well, how can they get a hold of you? Why don't you give it to them right now?
Sure. My email is KesslerB, KESSLERB @ada.org. That's my email. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Thanks again, Brett.
Thanks, Mark.